Hello, welcome to MathPro by Bloom Academy. We are going to review really quick about completing the square. Okay, what is this monster? Okay, see if we have equation like x plus 3 all squared equals 11, okay, then all we have to do, how do you solve this square? All we have to do is just take the square root of both sides. Okay, you don't need to expand this and bring the 11 to that side and make it equal to 0. All we have to do is square both sides, okay, and square root of, sorry, all we have to do is square root both sides, and square root of x plus 3 all squared brings you to x plus 3. So we have that is equal to the square root of 11, which is plus or minus square root of 11. You don't need to use a calculator here, just unless you are told to, don't worry about it. So just leave it like that. Remember, square root of 9 is not just 3, it's 3 or negative 3. Okay, so you're going to have plus or minus square root of 11. Okay, so we are solving for x. So what do? We need to remove this 3. So we subtract 3 from both sides, and you end up with x equals negative 3 plus or minus square root of 11. So your two solutions are x equals negative 3 minus square root of 11, that's the negative part, and also x equals negative 3 plus square root of 11. Leave the answer in this form right here, like this, unless otherwise instructed to use a calculator or change it. So that's your final answer. Just leave it like this. Okay, so that is what brings this topic of completing the square. So in case we have this x plus 8x, for example, x plus 8x, we want to make this a perfect square. That means something, x plus something squared. We want to add a number to it to make it a perfect square. What would that number be? Okay, that number is, you see this term here in x, this part here. This is x squared. This part here, this 8x. You see the coefficient of the x, the number multiplying the x is called the coefficient of x. So what do? We divide that by 2, which is 4. So 8 over 2, which is 4. When we square the 4, which is 16, that's the number that we add to these two here to make it a perfect square. Okay? All right. So if you have x squared plus bx, you take this one here, divide by 2 and square it. That's the number that you add to make it a perfect square. So once you do this and you get x squared plus 8x plus 16, this is now a perfect square. What is it? Okay, it is x plus 4. What number do you put here? Not the 8, okay? What do you put here? It's x plus half of this square. This is now, this whole thing is that one. Cool? All right, if you expand this, x plus 4 all squared, see that you are going to get this. So remember, when you get to this point, it is x plus half of this parenthesis squared. Okay, so try it. If I give you x minus squared minus 7x plus c, and I say, what number do you add it to make it a perfect square? And what is it? What do you get here? What is a perfect square? Okay, pause the video, review it. Okay, find the value of c and k. What are those? Okay, now check your answers right here. If you get it wrong, try it. And remember, this is plus because it's plus over here. So when this is minus, it's going to be x minus something, right? So here, this should be your answers. Divide that by 2, square it. That's what you're going to add to that to make it a perfect square. And what goes here is that 7 over 2. All right. Now, suppose you have quadratic equation like this, x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. How do we solve this? It's the factors of 6 that add up to positive 5. And that's easy. We factor it out, equals 0, x equals negative 2, x equals negative 3. You're done. Okay, what if you have something like this right here? See that? Okay, this one we cannot factor it. Okay, we cannot factor it easily because not like this. We can use the quadratic formula to solve for that, but we arrive at the quadratic formula by completing the square. So So remember what we did up here, how to make it a perfect square. Okay. Okay. So remember that. So we have this equals 0. Let's focus on just this part, right? Just this part here. We want to make that a perfect square. So let's focus on that. All right. Okay. Now there's a coefficient of the x squared. We want to move it. We want to remove it because we don't want the x squared to have anything. Remember these two exercises here? The x squared had just one. There's no number there. It's just one there. All right. So first of all, we need to remove the coefficient of the x squared, which is a -2. All right. So we remove the -2 outside. Sorry, this becomes plus. This plus. That is plus, sorry. So when we move the -2, basically what have we done? We divided this by 2 and that by -2. We divided both this by -2, this by -2. That is how we took the -2 outside. We factored it out. When you factor -2 out, that becomes positive, okay? And that is also positive because we factored -2 out. Right? So pay attention to that. When you factor a -2 out, the signs changes. Okay, this is positive now, that's positive. And the 5 is now we divide by 2. Okay, so now this portion here is what we're going to focus on. This is the portion that we want to complete the square. How do we do it? Remember, you take the coefficient of the x, which is 5/2, divided by 2. What is 5/2 divided by 2? 5/2 divided by 2, keep flip change, is the same as 5/2 times half is 5/4. So this divided by 2 is 5/4. The square of it, we add it to it, okay? So here's a trick. We add it to it, and then we subtract it, okay? It's just a neat trick. We add it to it, we subtract it. If we don't subtract it, that means we've changed this whole equation. Okay, so we add it to it and then we subtract it, right? So we haven't changed anything. Add it to it, subtract it. Okay, when we write this, then we focus on just this part right here. Okay, so this now is the perfect square. Okay, this section here is the perfect square. It's x plus 5/4. This section is the perfect square. So we did that just to get a perfect square. Okay, and we still need to subtract. So we added, subtract, we haven't changed anything, but we did that just so we can write this as a perfect square. Okay, so if you have x plus 5/2x, how do you make it a perfect square? It is half of this squared, 5/4 squared. That's what you add to make a perfect square. Okay, so if it's standing alone, okay, you're done. But this is an equation. It's an equation. You don't want to change the equation. So in this case here, we add it, we subtract it. When we add it, this portion here is our perfect square. Let's move on. Okay, so the -2 out, multiplying everything here in the parentheses. Okay, remember the 6 is still out there. 6 is not, -2 is not multiplying the 6. So it just stays outside the brackets. Okay, let's keep on manipulating this. All right, so now we have our perfect square. Okay, let's go to the step 4. Now we are going to distribute our -2 through. So -2 times this, we write it here. Sorry, this is plus. Okay, we write -2 times this portion here, and then -2 times this. So -2 times 25/16. Sorry, times, yeah, 25/16. And then that's our 6. So pay attention. Okay, our -2 now is multiplying what's in the brackets. We multiply by both terms. We come over here. Now, -2 times 25/16. 2 divides here, -1. 2 divides here, 8. So this becomes 25/8. But guess what? It's negative times negative. So remember, it's negative here. So -2 multiplied by the -25 becomes positive 25/8. and then we add our 6. So step by step, go to step 6. 25 over 8 plus 6 is the same as 73 over 8. Is it? So it is what? 25 plus 48 over 8, right? This is 48 over 8. If you write it like this, 6 is the same as 48 over 8. And when you add it, you get 73 over 8. That's what I've put over here. All right. So 73 over 8 equals 0. Okay, we're still proceeding to solve it. We move the 73 over 8 over here, becomes negative 73 over 8. Okay, step by step, we want to get to our x. Divide both sides by negative 2. Okay, x minus 5 over all squared equals 73. Okay, so remember negative 73 over 8 divided by 2 is the same as negative 73 over 2 over 8 times 1 over 2. And it's negative divided by negative, so we end up with a positive 73 over 16. Okay, see that? Now we're back to like where we started. Remember up here? Okay, the example here, if we have x plus 3 all squared equals 11, how do we solve it? We take square root of both sides. So now we are down here at this step. How do we solve this? We take square root of both sides, and you have plus or minus 73 over square root of 73 over square root of 16. Okay, are we done yet? We want to go after our x. What do we need to do? Sorry, this is plus. I made a mistake on the top. This is plus. That is plus. Plus. Made a mistake. That's plus. 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 Okay, what do we do? So now we subtract minus 5 over 4 from both sides. Negative 5 over 4. So we have x equals minus 5 over 4 plus or minus square root of 73 over, remember, the square root of 16 is 4. So it's right down here. Okay. The same denominator. So it becomes negative 5 plus or minus square root of 73 all over 4. Because it's the same denominator. We put it together. Okay. Your last step is minus. So you have two answers. One of them is negative 5 plus square root of 73 over 4. And the other one is negative 5 minus square root of 73 over 4. So pause this video here. Okay. Go back or rewind it. Go back and start. Okay. The idea is to have it in a perfect square equals a constant. Take square root of both sides. After that, move your other constant to both sides, and x is 2. You get two values of x, plus or minus. Okay, now, okay, if you have two terms, you want to make it a perfect square. How do you do it? You take the coefficient of the x, divide by 2, square it, and it becomes a perfect square, and this is your perfect square. Okay, and then you tried it over here. Okay, and then now we have, unlike this equation, this one here cannot be factored that easily. What do? We solve it by completing the square, right? So you want to focus on just this part here, okay? And you want to make the coefficient of the x squared 1. So we move the negative 2 outside, and we ended up with x squared plus 5 over 2x. Okay, remember this was 5x, but when we move these two outside, this becomes 5 over 2. Okay, so replay the video. Okay, solve it, and then go and practice. Excel, Algebra 1, B10, B12. I think it's BB, sorry. BB12 and BB10 and BB12. Practice these two sections. Okay, so any questions, email me. What do I keep telling you? I say what? Apply yourselves very well, and all things being equal, you shall what? Bloom. Welcome to Bloom Academy. All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.